Hello, and thanks for joining us here at Finovate Fall in New York. My name is David Penn. I'm Research Analyst with Finovate. And joining me today is Bernadette Ksepka. She is Vice President and Deputy Head of Product Management with FedNow. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. So I thought we could start off with you telling us just a little bit about the FedNow service for those who are not familiar.
Sure. So the Federal Reserve banks are developing an instant payment service for financial institutions of all size across every community across the United States to be able to offer safe and efficient instant payments to their customers 24/7 by 365. So what does this mean? So for recipients of those funds, they're going to be able to have full access of that funding to be able to better manage their cash flow, to be able to make time-sensitive payments. And then in the back end, banks are going to be able to settle those transactions instantly instead of hours or days, and it'll eliminate a lot of the liquidity and credit risk that exists today.
Now, this is really something huge. How do you think it's going to affect the U.S. payments landscape in general?
So the FedNow service is going to modernize the U.S. payments infrastructure. It is really going to pave the way for a big change in the future of payments. And it has been over 40 plus years since the Federal Reserve has introduced a new payments rail. So we are super excited that the FedNow service is going to go live in mid-year of next year.
Now, that's something else. I know a lot of folks are very excited to see that come about. I'm curious, what are the sort of innovations you think might be possible once the service gets up and running?
So great question. So the FedNow platform is use case agnostic. So the possibilities are really endless. And as we've seen demand for instant payments grow, we've seen use cases expand. And I think there's use cases out there that we're not even thinking about. So for example, there's a lot of energy around early wage access. So imagine an employer that can pay their employees at the end of the shift or at the end of the day instead of every 2 weeks. That makes that employer that much more competitive, especially in a really tight job market like we have today. And then an employee who could be living paycheck to paycheck, it could really change their way of life. I think the FedNow service is also going to change how companies do business from better cash flow. So they're going to have quicker access to funds, to how they pay their suppliers. They can do just-in-time transactions. They're going to change how they do invoicing and bill pay, and they're going to have rich data now embedded in the payment transactions, which means that they can automate reconciliation, which means real cost savings for businesses.
Wow, that's something else. It really is a revolutionary change that's going to be coming. I'm curious, you talked about the idea of use cases and some that we won't even know about. Are there ways for fintechs, who will be some of the ones helping bring about these use cases, to get involved?
I think fintechs are uniquely positioned to work with the financial industry to bring forward the best customer experience through technology. And there's a lot of opportunity in instant payments. So for example, the FedNow service is going to be a headless application. So that means financial institutions can work with fintechs to implement either mobile apps or online banking platforms that their customers can initiate transactions. The FedNow service is also going to be using the ISO 20022 specifications, which are really rich with data, and that coupled with request for payment capabilities, which are going to be available in the first release, and that offers a lot of rich data that fintechs can offer products and services around bill pay and around invoicing. And I think the possibilities are endless across a number of other use cases, including payroll, insurance disbursements, accounts payable, accounts receivable, and so on.
One of the fascinating things about FedNow, sort of taking a step back, is that it really reminds folks of the capacity of the Federal Reserve to participate in the innovation that goes on in financial services. I'm wondering if you talk a little bit about that.
So I think that the best way to promote innovation is by really encouraging widespread adoption of instant payments. We have built the platform to be very flexible, to have a lot of optionality so that it can really meet the needs of all types of financial institutions, and they can use this as a springboard for innovation. To further catalyze on this innovation, we have established an ecosystem accelerator group, which is targeted at service and solution providers across a number of different domains, including payment processing, payment hubs, gateways, core banking, mobile and online banking platforms, as well as bill pay presentment platforms. And this group has done something really cool. They have established a service provider showcase, which basically is an online resource that brings together financial institutions and businesses who are looking to adopt FedNow with service providers who have instant payment solutions that they can help with the journey to adopt FedNow.
Really, really interesting stuff. One of the things that's so fascinating about this is I think that this is going to be on a lot of folks faster than we think. It's really not going to be that far. We're already in September, and in a matter of months here, it's going to be the case. What are some of the things that financial institutions can or should be doing to maybe get themselves ready for this opportunity that's going to be coming on them faster than they think?
So we announced last week that we will be going live in mid-year 2023, but specifically between May and July, which is super exciting, as we said, less than a year away. And for financial institutions who have not already started to plan for FedNow, now is the time. And maybe I'll share with you 3 areas where they should be focusing on. So the first is thinking about which use cases can they solve for their customers? Because that's really going to help them think through what capabilities do they need to enable in FedNow. Second is thinking about their technology and their operations and what changes will they need to make to operate in a 24/7 by 365 environment, specifically thinking about credit and liquidity risks, resiliency, automation. All of that is going to be really important for a service that is always up. And then third, as institutions are planning for FedNow, they need to think about all of the stakeholders that they need to engage with. So first, internally, obviously they need to include their operations, their technology folks, but then also legal, risk, compliance, their cash management folks. And then externally, which service providers can they include in this journey to help them with their adoption? And again, I mentioned the service provider showcase. That is a great resource. If anyone is interested in checking that out, it is available on explore.fednow.org. We have lots of great resources that the Federal Reserve is offering for financial institutions to help them with their journey onto FedNow.
Wow, very, very exciting times, and something we're all going to be looking forward to and been waiting for. So it's going to really be nice when it finally gets here. It's going to be fantastic.
It is.
Great, great. Well, thank you very much for talking with us, telling us a little bit about what's coming up with FedNow. Really appreciate it. And again, I think folks have been very much looking forward to this, and it's going to be really exciting to see what comes of it.
Thank you so much.
Great. And thank you for joining us as well.